Tonight is starting off with some appetizers. Going to transition to a little tomato caprese salad. Going to a main course of Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, onions, garlic, a little surf and turf.
Looks familiar.
I'm a famous shopper.
Hey, babe.
All right, what do we got? Limes, 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 limes.
Arkansas head coach Bret Bielema on the Freddie Coleman Show. You grew up on a farm.
I did.
Yeah. How did you get from Bret Bielema, farm lad, to where you are? How did you get to that point, from that point to this point?
You know, there's a lot of things I learned growing up on a farm I use today, from my hard work. If you're gonna do it, might as well do it right the first time, otherwise you gotta do it again. I think influence early on in my life to stand up for yourself. If you don't, no one else will. I say all the time to our players, all I need you to do is be the best you. You know, I don't need you to impersonate anybody else. I'm not a great actor. I can't be somebody else. I just want to be Bret Bielema, and that's what it is, you know? And I think about all the little things. I had a great home. My mom and dad were unbelievable. They gave us everything that you could ever imagine. But I remember getting a shovel for Christmas and being excited, you know? I mean,
Really?
no, I got other good stuff. I got a guitar every once in a while, but you get a pair of boots and you were excited because you're gonna have warm feet, you know? But I did grow up on a hog farm with 2,500 hogs, so if there's anybody that should be the head coach of the hogs, it should be me. I've been saying woo pig suey my whole life.
So this is Prophetstown, where it all started for Bret Bielema.
When he got his first head coaching job, he was just sitting there kind of quiet this one night, and not teary, but you could tell he's reflecting on a lot of things. And he said, "Mom," he said, "I'm going to have to let some coaches go." And he said, "Their family, their kids come up and hug me after games, you know." And I said, "But Bret, it's your team."
How did growing up on a farm impact you as a coach today?
Without a doubt, probably the biggest fundamental value of what I believe in is hard work. We moved to the farm when I was 5 years old, and my dad did not have a day off until the day he went and watched me play in the Holiday Bowl when I was a sophomore or junior in college. So I know for 15 plus years, he never took a day off. We never went on vacations. We never spent 6 days in Florida, or we never went to Walt Disney World.
We, with 5 kids and moving out of the cities and going into hog operation and all that way, there were never any spare dollars around. It never was any big deal, you know, they just accepted it and were happy for what they had.
A big deal for us is we got to go to Long John Silver's for lunch and eat fast food. I mean, that was like a big deal. We'd look forward to that for like 2 or 3 days.
I didn't feel they were being shorted. I thought, they knew how to behave with a disappointment and that we couldn't do everything. And so I think it was a good experience for them.
I remember my sister and brother, my older sister and brother, took us to Star Wars. And that was like the coolest thing I ever did before the age of 15, It was just, you had a very simple life, but a very good quality life, but hard work, persevered.
How old was Bret the first time
Oh, he would have been 8.
and he was showing his pigs? Well, then you sell them, you don't take them home. And he kind of had a rough time with that. Arnie found him in the stall with his arm around his pig, shedding a few tears because that was the last time he'd seen him, so.
How often you make dinner?
Well, every Thursday night during the year. My first 6 years as a head coach, every Thursday night I had the same two guys over for dinner. And I have a radio show that goes from 7 to 8, so I don't get home till like 8:30. I'd start prepping. We wouldn't eat till about 9:30 or 10, but we would watch Thursday Night Football, have a beer or two, and just kind of it was like the best night of the week for me, just because it was just being a pair of sweats, flip-flops, relaxing, ridiculous meal. When Jen and I got married, then we started doing just smaller dinners, but I think this is the first time we might be using our plates from our wedding. I told my brother Bart when I was like in 8th grade that I wanted to play at the University of Illinois and play professional football.
Well, his mom went to parent-teacher conference. Mr. Vavra, he said to Maryland, he said that Bret said he's going to play Big Ten football and play middle linebacker for the Bears. And he says, don't you doubt him. He's an overachiever. He probably will, you know.
So what's the best play you've ever seen Bret make on this field right here?
Hit a kid head on right about here. And boom. And us guys are all along here, and everybody says, "Gee." Bret pops up, grabs a hand, kid's hand, picks him up, you know.
I was in a small town. I was, undersized, under-recruited, underdeveloped. It's the words that I live by now, you know. I'm gonna tell you, I was a walk-on, all right? Nobody offered me a scholarship.
It was a long process from, when he started getting letters and then nothing ever really happened. I can remember it was one night in January. He was highly frustrated because nothing had materialized, and he got a call from Iowa, and he come in and crying, and he says, Iowa wants me to walk on. He was just so happy and elated. The recruiting coordinator asked him if he would switch to defensive end. Bret says, I don't care where you go, coach, just so I get a chance. No one has figured out how to measure the size of a kid's heart.
Being Bret Bielema is brought to you by Walmart and 5 Hour Energy.